Hey all, welcome back to part 2. If you were around last Thursday at GotBot Goes Live, then you probably saw me talk about a number of upgrade kits. And then I talked about another baggie of 3D printed upgrades. And then if you were here Friday past, you saw me cover a number of upgrade kits. Well, this is part 2 when we look at all of the 3D parts that were afforded to me. These upgrades, they're going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, loud 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all my social media links, all of that in the description below. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. And I did a lot of explanation there in the beginning. So, last Thursday on the live show, I kind of talked about a whole bunch of different upgrade things, and some of it I had gotten earlier from our buddy Joe, and then some of it I got from Justin from the 3D Corner. Some of these designs are his, some of them are not his, but they were all provided to me through him. So, Friday past, I looked at upgrades from Shockwave Labs and 115 Utopia and Matrix Workshop and Cybertron Surgery, and you get the idea. Non-F as well was kind of in that mix. Then I decided that as like a part 2 to that, I was going to look at these pieces. So what's in here? A couple of independent things, a couple of parts that would go with Optimus Prime, a couple of parts that are intended to go with Astrotrain, though I'm using them with someone else, as well as kind of a comparison of Grimlocks, because we have the non-F set, but we have some 3D printed parts that might work as a good alternative. There's actually a few interesting bits and pieces to look at here. So without any further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at all these upgrades. And so while this might seem like a little bit of deja vu, it's actually not. Our buddy Justin from the 3D Corner, and I'll leave a link to the 3D Corner in the description, afforded me kind of some more 3D printed items that we're going to take a look at today. To be clear, and he made this clear as well, these are various designs. These are not his, so they do come from various people. I don't know the source of all of them because I have them through him, but he certainly knows the source of all of them. So, you know, either you would be able to get it off of someone like him, or if you have your own 3D printer, I mean, you should be able to probably find at least some of these designs. A couple of them might be his own original, but I'm really not sure which ones. So it's sort of a mishmash here of 3D printed upgrades, and most interestingly is the Grimlock kind of versus Grimlock, because there's a couple options here between the non-F and now the 3D upgrades, and each one is kind of successful or not successful in its own way. But before we get to the Grimlock comparison, let's quickly note the other few things that he afforded to me. So let's begin with the elephant in the room. Yes, Wheelie can now stand up. A lot of people have seen the 3D printed legs, and quite simply put, the legs that he came with, as we all know, were these ones stuck in a bent knee position. They're not good, man. So you pop them off and you can print these. Now, to be fair, my understanding, and I don't know if there's another version thereof, but my understanding is that these came in 3 pieces. An upper thigh, a lower leg, and then, as evidenced by this, we have really a double-ended ball joint. And what you do is you put the upper leg onto the ball joint at the hip, you put the double ball joint into the knee, and it goes down to the lower leg, and of course that's what gives you your knee. This is all they had to do to make this acceptable. How does he compare with, say, the Titans Return Legend? You know, he is definitely smaller than a traditional Legend, but some people might say, you know what, that's the right size for Wheelie, honestly. And while he can't transform still, this is definitely far more functional. The arm, it can still go around, he still has like a I guess we'll almost call it a butterfly, so to speak. It can't bend, but that's okay. The head still goes left and right. This arm can still go all the way around. Again, no elbow, but that's acceptable, honestly. We have out to the side and out to this side. It's tight though. We have forward, we have back, and we even have now a knee. If you push it far enough, you can get a double knee. So that is, honestly, pretty nice and gives him kind of full lower leg functionality. Either you can, I'm sure, buy this off someone, or if you have your own printer, get the plan, I don't know what you call it, the design, and honestly, this is a great upgrade for this wheelie. Really makes him super duper functional by comparison to what he was. For the record, I do think the wheelie leg design is Firetox's. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's where the original design comes from. We're moving on to Optimus Prime, and just a couple of quick things to note here. One is a 3D printed matrix. It's pretty cool. It certainly functions very similar to the matrix that we got with Earthrise Optimus Prime and Rodimus and Hot Rod and Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. I don't know if this day and age we really need a 3D printed matrix, but you know what? At some point somebody's going to want a matrix that works, and for some weird reason probably not be able to get their hands on one of these. So there'll always kind of be a bit of a market for a matrix. Obviously this one does lend itself to you being able to paint it. It is just great. It fits in Optimus's hand, as you can see. Very, very similar in size to the one that's in his chest. I'll probably show them side by side in just a moment. Also, you'll notice over on his arm, we have what's really like a computer kind of communication screen that is obviously always open. I have it on Optimus. You can put it on anybody. It is done in white, and on the back of it over here there's an Autobot symbol. I'll kind of show that up close again in a moment, but it is intended to go on someone's arm. That said, if you had like a base, for example, you could certainly use a 5mm port there to attach this to your base as just another computer screen. Again, this one was just done in white plastic. You could use whatever color you want and of course paint it up, but I think it's pretty neat all the same. I'm not sure how well that's showing up, but it is actually a nicely detailed raised Autobot symbol on the back of this communication screen. And here's Optimus' actual matrix next to the 3D printed one. The 3D printed one is neat, but because the center is a little bit bigger, it doesn't quite fit on the, or in the chest of Optimus. See what I mean? And so next up we have a couple of things. First things first, down near the feet of our boy Impactor here, we have a couple of Energon cubes. They're just cubes that were 3D printed. These ones in purple. Also on this forearm and the other forearm, you may notice that we have what, in essence, I guess, are forearm slash like double-barreled wrist blasters. They just have little 5mm pegs. They are, my understanding, is that they are intended to be used with Siege Earthrise Astro Train. I suppose you could, but honestly, they're kind of generic enough that they could really be used with anyone. Impactor's a nice tank boy. Why not use them with him and arm him up just a little bit more? Cool little blasters. There's no mobility or anything to them, but they're molded rather nicely and look kind of neat. And finally, we come to our boy Grimlock, and we have a few things to kind of note and compare here. First things first, teeth. Front teeth. Grimlock was missing front teeth. I looked at on Friday the non-F set, which gives Grimlock upper and lower teeth. The lower teeth you need to affix with a piece of glue, basically. They include a glue dot. Non-F includes a glue dot. I didn't have that glue dot, so I did use just a dab of glue, and it works well because the lower teeth don't just kind of stay in place and like kind of staying with friction. The top teeth from the non-F set requires you to take out 2 screws on the side of the head and really kind of put the teeth in and, like over a bar that runs along the upper mouth. And after you do that, then you can put the head back together and put the screws back in. The 3D printed teeth, while I don't have a set of lower teeth, I'm sure you could probably get them, I do have a set of upper teeth. And the upper teeth here are very simple. There's 3 of them, just like with the non-F ones. I would argue that the filament gray that was used here for this 3D print is better than what was used necessarily with non-F, because I got the darker set and I do find it a little jarring, to be honest with you. The kind of depth of the tooth itself is definitely better with the non-F set. But to put on the 3D printed ones, it's really simple. They just have like a molding in over the top, and really all you're doing is frictioning it up into place, and it goes up over the bar that goes across the upper part of the mouth basically, and they fit in there and they stay in there really well. It's a little bit of a shame that there's no bottom ones here, or if there is, I don't have them, but honestly when you close his mouth, I'll try to put his head down a bit, and you close his mouth, like both of them now have front teeth. It's a win either way. I like both. But that's not all that we have for our boy Grimlock. Let's talk forearm fillers. This darker one is the non-F one. You take the screw out basically up by the double claws, and you put this on and you screw it back in, and when you want to transform the hand, you really just rotate this out of the way and you rotate the hand out and rotate this back down. Elegant, simple. Same goes for the other side, but the other side is 3D printed. This time, it seems like the best course of action, because of the way it's molded, is to remove the screw back by the singular claw, talon, because you have a little bit more wrist depth, and the way that this is printed, I'll try and show it with this one. The actual like whole piece here is rather deep, I guess, so it doesn't break. So you want to be able to account for this extra couple of millimeters here. So you really need that depth of wrist to do it. But it's the same concept where you screw it on and then you rotate it out of the way. It is definitely a far simpler design. It is arguable kind of just how perfect it works, and I'll tell you why as we kind of focus in on that specific leg. Here is the one issue with it that you might have to do a little bit of leg work, elbow grease to remedy. Never in my wildest thoughts during a review did I think I would ever focus in on Grimlock's foot, but here we are. So, you'll notice it is not perfectly flush. If I turn this all the way around now so you can see it from the back here, you can see that we have extra depth here. It is not exactly into the hole. I can no longer kind of turn the screw tighter, and I'm a bit afraid doing it because I don't want to kind of strip anything. I would suggest to you there might be a little bit of flashing on the very outer edge of the circle. I would advise, if you do a print of these fillers, that you sand down that kind of hole just a little bit, so that when you put the screw in, you can bring the piece to be a little more flush. That being said, it is a nice, simple piece. The line work in it kind of lines up with the rest of the line work going around the wrist, ankle. I think it's a success. You just have to kind of do a little bit of leg work, so to speak, down here to make sure that it fits in the intended hole properly. And finally, here we are with swords, and that's right, swords. I already looked at the big red sword some time ago. It is still a solid sword. The other one is cast in a gray, but it still looks pretty cool. Now here's the thing, I've been saying all along that, hey, I have the Fall of Cybertron sword that works really well with Grimlock, and indeed I do. However, we also know that we're getting a team of Dinobots, and I'm willing to guess that none, maybe one, but I'm willing to guess none are actually going to come with swords. So this is a nice, simple option. You can certainly get a bunch of upgrade kits, but if you're just kind of in the market, so to speak, for swords, maybe these 3D printed ones are going to be kind of up your alley. They work well, they look good. And there you have it, kind of part 2 of my upgrade sets. Like I said, I think the legs are Firetox's design. The rest of it, I'm not sure if it is our boy Justin's own designs or not. He would definitely be the best one to ask. Like I said, I'll leave a link to the 3D corner. You can sort of ask, pick his brain a little bit about what designs are his and what designs are ones that he just has found and used himself. He would certainly know the differences better than I. But that being said, the swords, they're pretty great. The forearm fillers are a nice, affordable option for anybody who doesn't want kind of a full upgrade kit. The Arm-mounted communication screen and the matrix, I guess they're okay. I do like the little blasters that I have elected to put on Impactor. You can use them for whoever you like and make as many as you like. And of course the legs for Wheelie do indeed make him infinitely better. Number of 3D printed items, a number of successes. And here we are once again. So, top to bottom, let's kind of cover this. The legs, which I'm pretty sure are Firetox's design. If I'm mistaken, somebody can point it out, but I think it is. They're great. They're a great design. They work well. They make the Studio Series Wheelie infinitely better. It really, really does. Then we have the added parts for Optimus, and they're okay. I mean, a Matrix, yeah, it looks okay. It doesn't really fit in his chest. I do like the communicator thing on his arm, but that could really work on anybody. So, though they're with Optimus, they were kind of generic, so to speak. Then we have the bits and pieces that were supposed to be on Astro Train, which are really two kind of arm-mounted blasters. I think they work great on Impactor. Again, somewhat generic. And then we get to Grimlock. And the forearm fillers, whether you like the non-F ones or you like these ones, that's up to you. Naturally, these ones are probably more cost effective, and if you were to make sure that they fit in the intended screw hole properly, they probably fit a little more flush than what I had them. As for the teeth, installation of the 3D printed part is infinitely easier. It might be worth coloring all the teeth silver just to help it blend in a little bit more, but that same argument could be used in conjunction with the non-F set as well. So it's a little bit of a toss-up. So, Wheelie, infinitely better. Grimlock, bit of a toss-up. The Optimus one's kind of generic, and the Impactor one's kind of generic, but still pretty cool. Let me know what you think about all of these upgrades. By the way, the two swords, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to use them with Grimlock or not, but it's going to be very nice to have extra swords to go with the impending 86 series Dinobots. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Will you stick around? Have some fun with us here on the channel. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, man, you do make a difference, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, baby, right here inside the videos.